Hello, welcome to All's RC. This is a standard, apart from the speed controller, FTX Outback MK2. You may have seen in a previous video, fitting the said speed controller, the used standard motor smoked a little bit, tiny little flame come out and everything. So what we're going to have to do is change that out for a newer one, which should handle the change of speed controller okay. Still going to run it on a 2S battery, though you can run it with this speed controller on a 3S. I wouldn't recommend running it on a 3S though, because the standard axles they like bust, they just twist off and that was it. So I'd recommend running this on 2S only. It's quite fast enough for that. So let's go ahead and get this gearbox out. There's 4 little screws here. They are a bit of a pain to undo. This screwdriver is the nearest thing I've got, and if you take your time and you don't round the screws out too much, it works. Okay, so things have progressed and I've stripped out the screw that you can see just there, and so I've got to take the motor plate out. That's easy to do, is take the screws out on the side, on the chassis, give it a wiggle, and it all comes out. Cut that. There we go. So what we've got to do is get that screw there out of there, because it's stripped out. So I won't bore you with that. I'll take care of that and I'll come back. Okay, so if you just watch me take these screws out, don't do that, because as you can probably see just there, it is it that one? Which one is it? That one there. It's rounded it out. So if you take the whole motor out on the skid paddock, you can take the cover off and take the motor off without taking the transmission off the skid plate. It might be easier. Okay, so the pinion is held on by a small grub screw. Probably been Loctited on, so it come off with a bit of a click. Take that off, and then you've got 2 cross-headed screws to take the motor out. So next you take off these 2 screws, and it is literally, there we go. Literally just replace it with your new one. You've got the 2 screw holes there that will line up with your mounting holes. So mount your motor so it's still a bit loose, so it moves around just like that, so you can put your pinion on. You'll be able to see a little flat spot on the pinion, sorry, on the motor shaft there. That's where you put your grub screw on to give it a good surface to grip onto so it doesn't slip. And do that up, not tighter, because you're going to have to adjust it. Okay, so you've got your pinion on, done up nice and tight so it doesn't come off, because you don't want that when you're out. And now you've got to set the mesh. The recognised way of doing this is with a tiny square of printer paper, and what you do, you open up the gap between your pinion and your spur gear. There's not a lot of gap on this one. And literally just slide that in. Okay, and using a moderate bit of pressure, push that up so the two gears are meshing in between the piece of paper just there. Okay, you can see that, just like that there. And do your screws to your motor up quite tightly, okay, like that. Like that, and then your mesh should be set, and we can just test that by just giving it a turn. That sounds a bit tight actually. Yeah, it is. So just release the screws a little bit. Move it away a bit. I think that's a bit too much. It's a bit difficult to tell without doing the paper meshy thing. Just that screw's quite tight going into that motor, just like that, and release that one a little bit. Just like that, so they're both loose. And basically you just don't want it making any noise. The quieter you can get the mesh, the better off you're going to be probably, and you won't get anywhere with your spur gear and your pinion. Just got a tiny little bit of play there. Sounds okay. Where are you? There. There's a bit of play in there. It may be. I think that's okay. Yeah, I think we'll go with that. So everything's done up tight, because next you're going to be putting your spur gear cover on, and that's just those two little screws that we took out earlier. I mean, you can leave this off, but there is a chance you'll get like mud or stones caught in it, and if it could then ruin your pinion or your spur. It's more likely to ruin the spur because it's plastic. Come on, in you go. Yes. And that's what you're left with. So give it another check. It doesn't sound too bad. They're not the quietest of motors, but they do the trick. Okay, so what you do, just wiggle your connect your drive shafts first, the motor plate back into the chassis. Make sure you don't catch any wires or anything like that, and it all clicks together. Then you can put your 4 screws in the side chassis to hold your skid plate in. Okay, so that's the 4 screws holding the skid plate in. Now you've got to put your links back on. Do those one at a time and take your time with it, and don't do the screws up too tight because they're going into plastic and it could strip off. Okay, so if you get to this point where all your links are done up into the skid plate, your drive shaft's all connected, the wheels don't flop around all wobbly anymore, and you've got no screws left. That's not the screw from here, that's the screw from a different car. Then you are done, apart from plugging your motor in. So let's do that now. Okay, so motor connections are done. Make sure that there's no exposed metal so these two can't touch and short out. And then you plug your battery in with your remote control unit, which is there, and you hope you don't see smoke. So let's try it. It's on, and that's nice and smooth. There we go. You successfully changed your motor in your FTX Outback. Let's have a look. All the lights work. 1, 2, 3 and 4. And now what you've done, you've built yourself a nice, controllable, entry-level RC intercooling. You really can't go wrong with these. They're brilliant. Okay, before anything else goes wrong, I'm going to say thanks for watching Will's RC, and I'll see you next time. Cheers, bye.